Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It's Friday morning. This is a voiceover, but the previous video that I did today that's just come out on Michelle Walks wasn't a voiceover. As you could see from that video, it was very windy. Go and check it out. I apologise for the wind noise in some parts of that video, but I hope that it's useful to you if you're following the baffling, absolutely baffling Debbie Collier case. In this video, I want to talk about Michael Vaughan, and I've been daily live streaming the latest news, the latest developments in his case since last Friday. Sarah Wanderer, a neighbour just 2 minutes drive away from the Vaughan home, was arrested, and as of Saturday morning there's been an intensive search, an excavation of the backyard of Sarah and Stacey Wanderer's home, 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland, just 2 minutes drive, half a mile away from the home that Michael disappeared from on the early evening of July 27th, 2021. Yet Michael has been missing all of that time. It's heartwarming to see how many people are supporting Michael's case now. We went through many months of no movement on this case, at least not in the public domain. Law enforcement have continued to work this case. They refuse to let this case go cold. And due to a tip that came from allegedly inside the home, they're there now. Stacey Wanderer has been in jail for the last several months on unrelated charges. Sarah Wanderer also has unrelated charges going through the courts. However, this charge against Sarah Wanderer is directly related to Michael and the failure to report the death of Michael Vaughan. So it's heartwarming to see how many channels are covering this case and how many channels are supporting Brandy and Tyler, Michael's parents. Brandy has been stoic. She's been so strong. She's refused to let Michael's name, his beautiful face, be forgotten. She's been on news channels, she's been on YouTube channels to never give up hope that one day Michael will come home. And if this tip, if the excavation of 1102 Red Wing Street does result in the finding of Michael's remains, then Michael will come home. Not in the way that his parents wanted. Nobody wanted this outcome. However, once his remains are found, this is the first day of justice for Michael Vaughan. So many people supporting the family, but who are new to this case, don't know some of the things that have gone on over the last 16 months while Michael has been missing. There's been a number of channels on YouTube, a number of people on Twitter who have been incredibly negative towards the family. And this doesn't include the people who are doing things now that could be detrimental to the case, like ringing neighbours or bringing out information before the family are aware of it. That's happened this week. However, it's not those people that have been the long-term problem for the family of Michael Vaughan. It's not those people. Let's be clear, it's not those people that I'm talking about here. I'm talking about people who, on Twitter, the Weasels as we call them, and some YouTube channels they've misrepresented the timeline. They've intentionally twisted the timeline. I did a long live stream on this, going through the timeline that these Weasels have put forward that is misleading. They've just chosen to do that to serve their own bias. I called them out several months ago and I continue to call out those channels. I don't follow those channels. I've told the YouTube algorithm that I do not want to see those channels. It's easy to do this. If a channel pops up in your suggested videos, this is how you get rid of it. This is how you tell YouTube that you don't want to see it. You do this. You tell YouTube you're not interested. You tell YouTube, do not recommend this channel. That's how you train the YouTube algorithm not to show those channels to you. Today's not the day to call out particular channels. I'm not naming them. I'm not driving traffic to them. They need to apologise. I don't know whether they have apologised because I don't see those channels in my recommended videos. But if they've apologised and given a heartfelt apology to the family, then great, good for them. That's the first step in how they can make amends. But there have been some big channels that have been supportive of Michael and his family for the longest time now. Duty Ron has come out and he's blasted people who are just not in this case for the right reasons. Web Sleuths, there's a variety of channels. The Interview Room with Chris McDonough. Now, whatever you think about Chris, sometimes I don't agree with what Chris does. I don't agree with the approach he takes at times. But towards Michael's case, he's been fantastic. He supported Brandy. He's had Brandy on his channel. And he went to Brandy and Tyler's home. So what you can see now on your screen is Chris doing a drive-through of the streets where Michael might have walked. This is driving east on 9th Street, southwest 9th Street. This is the street that Michael walked around. This is the street where neighbours saw him, actually saw him. He wasn't dead hours before he was reported missing, as the Weasels would have you believe. He just walked a few houses down. He knocked on some neighbours' doors. He was just looking for people to play with on a hot summer's evening in July 2021. As Chris does this drive-through, and I'll leave a link to this video in the description box. I'm really glad that Chris did this because it gives a really good feel for the neighbourhood. Look, it's a nice neighbourhood. Who would imagine that something horrific would occur to a little boy who, he got out of the house. His dad was distracted. And for those people who say, I would never leave my kid on their own, come on, Michael was 5 years old, right? He had a baby sister at the time. Dad Tyler was distracted. He was distracted. But think about it. If you've got or ever had a 5-year-old child, do you take them to every room that you go to? Do you take them to the toilet with you when you leave a room and go to the loo? If you've got more than one child, then your attention is bound to be distracted away from one child at least sometimes. What was Tyler meant to do when he believed that Michael was quietly playing in one room and he went into another room in the house to change a baby's diaper? What do you think Tyler was meant to have done in that case? Michael knew he wasn't allowed at the front, but yet he went there. Because sometimes kids do unexpected things. But this isn't a problem on YouTube, on social media, that's just about Michael Vaughan. There are so many cases where families are dragged through the mud unnecessarily. The Australian case of Cleo Smith from last year. She got abducted from inside of her tent while the family were out camping. She was missing, I think, 18 days, and the Australian police force did an amazing job at finding her abductor. Much of that was analysis of phone records, looking at surveillance. It was absolutely painstaking work. But they found Cleo. They recovered Cleo safe and well. Yes, she'd been through a massively traumatic event, but she was alive. And the family have been able to rebuild their lives. But the amount of nastiness, negativity people made towards Cleo Smith's family, absolutely appalling. Appalling. There was no evidence whatsoever that they had anything to do with Cleo's disappearance, but yet her stepdad in particular was dragged through the mud. Now, look, I appreciate the statistics. I get the statistics. I do. That when a child goes missing, often it's something to do with a family member or someone very close to the family. I get it. Children who disappear are not abducted by strangers. They're not abducted from their street, a quiet rural street. They're not abducted from their tent when their family is camping. It does happen. And in these cases, it did happen. The worst thing possible happened. Cleo Smith was recovered, safe, and she can go on to lead a happy life, but not so for Michael. There's many other cases that I could bring up where parents are dragged through the mud unnecessarily, no evidence whatsoever against them. Law enforcement are not against them. Law enforcement doesn't declare them suspects. But yet, weasels, people who are just vindictive, whatever reason they've got to do this, are their lives so hollow and shallow that that's what they find interesting to do with their lives? Those channels who put many, many hours into investigating and warping timelines, please do something more useful with your life. Learn how to do proper research. I don't know, guys. Today's not the day to talk about those people, except to say let's all be more mindful. When a child goes missing, let's not jump immediately on the family. Let's not drag that family through the mud unnecessarily. Of course, it's different if the police declare them suspects. It's different. Every case is different. But where law enforcement are not declaring those families, the parents, suspects, what right do you have to do that? What right do you have? Who are you? Who are you? Ask yourself, look in the mirror. Ask yourself, who are you to determine that innocent people are guilty? Who are you to expect parents to prove their innocence? That's not how the justice system works. Who are you to challenge law enforcement's viewpoint about a case? They obviously know way more than you do. And all you do is cause damage, harm, and agony for families who were already going through the most devastating period of their life. Who are you? Take a long look in the mirror and ask yourself, what better thing can you do with your life? And I know I will have lost subscribers for putting this out, but it needed to be said. Today's not the day to name and shame people. Maybe it will never be the day that I feel it's appropriate to name and shame people. But you know who you are. You know who you are if you ever see this video. You know who you are, and I hope you are ashamed for what you've done, for what you've drug a family through. I hope you are truly ashamed. And if you were any type of human being, you would publicly apologise. But hey, I bet you won't. Alright guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. I've been Michelle, I hope you're well. I'll see you in the next video. It's goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. I'll see you very soon. Bye guys.